Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean. I just want to make a quick video about the news that Tyson Fury is supposedly going to be fighting in the UK in December, and the third fight with Wilder is off. As far as I'm concerned, that's good news, for the simple fact, really, that I want to see Tyson Fury back in the ring. I don't believe that Deontay Wilder wants to fight. I think it's just his team who are just trying to cash out, basically. So they're just trying to long it out for as long as they can. Just some pipe dream that somehow it's going to make a load of money. I don't see it. So it's just wasting everybody's time, quite frankly. I want to see Fury back in the ring. Hopefully it's going to be against someone in the top 15 with the WBC. I saw an interview with Bob Arum. He's saying that that's going to be the case. So, that's much more interesting. I've seen Fury fight Wilder twice. I want to see him fight some contenders. I want to see him fight against, obviously Fury's fought Klitschko, he's fought Wilder, both of those very good wins. He's fought a couple of contenders along the way, but I want to see him against more people. So the idea of seeing him just sort of beat up Wilder again isn't particularly exciting to me. I'd much rather see him fight against someone else. Now, I think they'd probably be cautious with it because obviously the Joshua fight, we don't know obviously with that because first of all he's got to fight Pulev. Also the whole COVID-19 situation. Nobody can really make any clear plans on anything, but that will obviously be in their minds when they're picking this. So out of the top 15, there's some quite good fighters in there, but most of them will be ruled out because of they've got fights coming up. So out of the realistic options, I think, let's have a look who we got. Okay, but I've heard talk of Oscar Ribas, he's a solid opponent, isn't he? I don't think stylistically it's that exciting, but he's definitely a credible opponent. Definitely, come to win. I just think that, I think he's too small, too slow on his feet, I just don't really see anything he's going to do to trouble Tyson Fury, unless Tyson Fury just has an off night, which he does do sometimes. But I think the way he's at the moment, very, very focused. He's got Sugar Hill over in England with him, training with him. He's got good momentum. I just think, as he is right now, I think it's unlikely that he's going to go into a fight and just be in bad form. And so, yeah, that's not a great one for me, although it would certainly be, it could definitely do a lot worse. Caballel, probably quite so. To be honest, just from what I've seen of him, now I'm not saying he's better than Ribas, but I think it'd probably be a slightly more interesting fight at least based on the sort of dimensions. Beat Derek Chisora, like a sort of common opponent, maybe not the best version of Derek Chisora, but I don't know. I just think that he could make it a little bit more interesting at least and put up a bit more of a stylistic challenge. Not that I think he'd have much chance of winning, but I wouldn't mind seeing that one, as bearing in mind the circumstances. Michael Hunter would be one I'd like to see, which potentially could be realistic. I don't know, because he's a sort of bigger name really than those two. He's obviously not got a promoter at the moment, but he's fought some good people. So I don't know what kind of money he'd want for that. He seems to be up for fighting everyone, so maybe he wouldn't ask for that much money. Maybe he'd do it just for the opportunity. But that would be quite an interesting one. I think he's a better fighter than those two. He arguably beat Povetkin, beaten some pretty decent fighters along the way. Gave a good fight to Usyk. He looks like a good fighter to me. Now, I don't think he'd beat Tyson Fury, but I definitely think it'd be a credible opponent. It'd be an interesting fight. Much rather see that right now than Deontay Wilder, a third fight with Deontay Wilder. The other one, which, to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing, is Charles Martin. Now, a lot of people will probably laugh at that and they just sort of think Charles Martin's a bit of a laughing stock. But to be honest, Charles Martin, he's had a few good wins recently, and he's actually looked quite good. Now, he fought against Anthony Joshua, and I think that occasion and the atmosphere, the stylistic matchup, all of that made him look a lot worse than he was. Because going into that fight, a lot of people thought he was going to knock Joshua out. People forget that. He was a southpaw, like 6'5", I think. Pretty skillful. Knocked out a load of people. And a lot of people thinking he was going to beat Joshua. And then when he sort of went in there, he kind of just sort of froze a bit and pretty much quit. Got hit hard a couple of times and just didn't really... I don't know. I just think the occasion, he got a bit... I don't think he'd ever really fought in a place like that before. The O2, real kind of bear pit atmosphere. All the focus on Joshua, like obviously very aggressive back then. It was a great performance from Joshua as well. So that really made... I don't know, gave people a bit of a false impression of Charles Martin. I think Charles Martin against Tyson Fury, now, him as you know, he's a bit more experienced now as well. I think that would actually be quite an interesting fight, to be honest. Again, I'm not saying that I think that he'd have a really realistic chance of winning, but I think he could make it interesting for a bit. And I'd quite like to see it. So, yeah, out of those four, I'd prefer to see Hunter or Martin. But realistically, it's probably going to be one of the other two, I'd imagine. Just for the fact that like Martin is with PBC, which probably make it a bit more difficult to do. I don't know, is Rivas with PBC? I don't know, he came out to fight Dylan White, didn't he? And as for Michael Hunter's, I mean, he's quite, maybe they'll see that as a bit of a risk before Anthony Joshua. I don't know. But I haven't heard his name mentioned. But I'd like to see any of those fights. As I say, I'm just happy to see Fury fight again. It was clear as day that Deontay Wilder didn't want to fight. Now, his team, I believe, obviously were trying to just try to make as much, just cash out, basically. Like they've got that fight there. They thought, well, we've lost a load of money on Wilder in the last few fights, building him up to it. We thought he was going to beat Fury, didn't. We want to get some of our money back, so we're basically going to pressure him into this fight. But the problem is, like, even without the COVID situation, because that is of course, that's a big factor. But even besides that, how are they going to make? I saw someone saying that they were guaranteed, or Tyson Fury was guaranteed about 30 million or something. Deontay Wilder, obviously, he's going to want a load of money to go into that fight, and I don't blame him. So where's that money going to come from? That last fight was very anticipated. Now that I don't think they really made that much money on it because they spent so much on the promotion, but if you take that away, it was still very, very big. Like thousands of British and Irish fans flew out there. You had a load of big American celebrities there. Lots of Americans travelled there from different parts of the country to watch it. Sold loads of pay-per-views. Everyone was talking about it. It was massive. Like, it was so conclusive. And also, like, what's happened since it. If Deontay Wilder had come out and basically shown a bit of fight, a bit of like trying to like sort of say, oh, I'm up for it, I want it, then maybe you could have, you know, had some interest in it. But the way it's been with him, just we haven't heard a peep from him really since it happened. You know what I mean? No one really thinks that Deontay Wilder wants to fight. So where's this money going to come from? You're not going to get any British fans flying out there. Even if we could, I don't think you might get a few people doing it, but not really. People don't want to just sort of waste money for stuff. People want to spend money, big money on stuff that they're asking for. You can't just decide, right, we're going to put this on, and now you've all got to pay. It doesn't work like that. People have got to want to pay for it. People have got to want to see it. So you're not going to get the interest from the UK. You're not going to get like sell it to countries around the world. We've seen in the UK now they just sort of turned down Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko, Kell Brook against Terence Crawford. They're not even paying for that. So, do you know what I mean? People aren't paying a load of money for stuff. I mean, that's because it's on at like, you know, the time of the morning, obviously in America. So this is the same thing. You're not going to get people paying for it around the world. You're not going to get a load of Americans going and spending a load of money because they're spending loads of money for those tickets. So, yeah, it's just a complete pipe dream that they're going to make any money from it. So, yeah, that's the only reason that fight would happen, in my opinion, would be that Shelley Finkel, Al Heyman, JD's, whoever else, basically just sort of pressured Deontay Wilder, because he's not going to come out and say, yeah, I don't want to fight, to be honest. Is he? Of course he's not. He's a proud man. He's not going to say that. So he's just going to go along with it. And they know that as well. So really, they're just sort of taking advantage. So that's the only reason that fight would happen. Because if that wasn't the case, then Deontay Wilder would be coming out saying, I want that fight, I want that revenge, I want a third fight. He hasn't done that. Then you could be saying, oh well, there's complications that the promoter. You know what I mean? At least that it'll be. No, I don't care. I don't care about fucking. We can't do it with a big crowd. So I want it now. I'll do it behind closed doors. Doesn't matter. I just want to get my revenge. But we haven't heard that. And as I say, it's just clear as day that Wilder doesn't want the fight. It's just of no interest to anyone. So I'm glad that Fury's moved on. Hopefully, then the big fight against Joshua, because that's what everybody wants to see, isn't it? Not just in the UK, but everybody around the world. We want to see an undisputed fight. That's what people have been trying to see for ages. So yeah. In terms of like what Deontay Wilder does after that, I'm not really interested, to be honest. I don't really see him doing anything. I don't particularly. If Fury beats Joshua, let's say, or Joshua beats Fury, there's other people I prefer to see them give it a chance to than Deontay Wilder. Like this, you've got Usyk, for example. Much rather see him fight either of them. Even some of the up and coming people, like if Daniel Dubois beats Joe Joyce, Hrgovic, there's a lot of people that I'd prefer to see get a chance to fight. Dylan White, if he can beat Povetkin, or if Povetkin can beat Dylan White again, maybe he get another go. But yeah, I mean, Deontay Wilder, I don't really see him working himself back up, to be honest. I think he's too old, too stuck in his ways. He's got a load of money. I think that's just, I don't really think he's up for it anymore. And, I don't really blame him, and I'm not particularly bothered. So yeah, let me know what you lot think, and thank you very much for watching.